There is a war happening right now, inside every mind that has ever set an alarm for 5 a.m. and then negotiated with itself in the dark. It begins before you're even fully awake. The alarm sounds, and in that half-second of consciousness, before your eyes have adjusted to the light, two voices speak at once. One says, "Get up, you have work to do." The other says, "5 more minutes won't matter." You don't remember choosing a side. You simply find yourself already moving or already sinking back into the pillow. This is not laziness. This is not weakness. This is the opening skirmish of a war that never stops. One fought entirely without sound, without witnesses, without anyone ever telling you it was happening at all. Most people spend their entire lives fighting this war without knowing its name. They call it procrastination. They call it a bad day. They call it just not feeling motivated. But beneath every one of these small defeats lies something far more structural, a constant, invisible negotiation between two opposing forces that live inside the same mind, competing for control of every decision you make. Call them what you will. For our purposes, call them the guardian and the architect. The guardian is ancient. It was built for a world of predators and scarcity, a world where safety meant survival and change meant risk. Its only job is protection, to keep you where it is familiar, where it is comfortable, where nothing can hurt you. It does not care about your goals. It does not care about your potential. It cares only that you remain intact, unchanged, and safe. This is the voice that whispers not today. This is the voice that finds 1,000 reasonable-sounding excuses the moment you attempt something difficult. The architect is different. It is the part of you oriented toward the future, the part that can imagine a version of your life that does not yet exist, and is willing to endure short-term discomfort to build it. It is the voice behind every early morning workout, every difficult conversation finally had, every risk taken in pursuit of something greater. The architect thinks in years and decades. The guardian thinks only in the next 5 minutes. These two forces were never meant to be enemies. In a balanced mind, they cooperate, the guardian offering caution, the architect offering direction. But for most people, that balance breaks. The guardian, louder and faster and wired directly into instinct, dominates by default. And so the war continues, mostly lost, mostly unnoticed. You have felt this war more times than you can count, even if you never called it that. It is the delay before starting the task you know matters most. It is the hesitation before applying for the opportunity you actually want. It is the gap, sometimes an inch, sometimes a canyon, between the person you intend to be and the person your actions actually produce each day. This gap is not evidence that something is wrong with you. It is evidence that a war is being fought, and until now, you didn't know you were standing on the battlefield. This is the quiet tragedy of most human lives. Not a lack of ability, not a lack of ambition, but a lack of awareness that the enemy and the opportunity has been inside all along. People do not fail because they are incapable. They fail because they never realized there was a war to win. But awareness changes everything. The moment you can name this conflict, you gain something you never had before, the ability to see it coming. And in the space between impulse and action, in that narrow, silent gap, the entire outcome of the war can shift. Let's return to the battlefield. You now know the enemy's name, or rather, you know there isn't really an enemy at all, just a protector with outdated instructions. The guardian isn't trying to ruin your life. It's trying to save it, using a rule book written for a world that no longer exists. And once you understand that, the entire war changes shape. You're no longer fighting to silence a voice. You're learning to outgrow it. Here is the part almost no one tells you. You will never fully defeat the guardian. There is no final battle, no single morning where you wake up and the resistance is simply gone. Anyone who has built something meaningful, a body, a business, a body of work, will tell you the voice never disappears. It just gets answered faster with less debate and less damage done in the process. So if the war never ends, where is the victory? It lives in a place most people walk straight past: the pause. That sliver of time between the alarm and the decision, between the invitation and the excuse, between the idea and the doubt that follows it. Most people don't lose the war in some dramatic collapse. They lose it in that quarter second on autopilot, without ever knowing a choice was available. The pause is where the architect gets a vote. Miss it, and the guardian wins by default every single time. Learning to find that pause is not about willpower. Willpower is a resource, and resources run out. What doesn't run out is identity. This is the real weapon the architect carries. Not motivation, not discipline, but a decision about who you already are. The person who gets up isn't relying on feeling ready. They've simply decided ahead of time that this is what a person like them does. Action stops being a negotiation and starts being a reflex. You are not waiting to become disciplined. You are acting as the disciplined person you've already chosen to be, and letting the feeling catch up later, because it always does. There is a second, quieter strategy the architect uses, and it has nothing to do with intensity. It has to do with proof. The guardian doesn't respond to grand declarations. It responds to evidence. Every time you keep a small promise to yourself, the guardian recalibrates, just slightly, its definition of what is safe. 1 rep, 1 page, 1 hard conversation instead of an avoided one. These aren't small victories. They are votes cast in an election that never really closes, an ongoing referendum on who is actually in charge. This is the truth this entire film has been circling. The war inside you is not a flaw in your character. It is the price of being a creature capable of change. Every person who has ever built a life worth admiring fought this same war in the same silence, often in the very same mornings you did. The difference was never the absence of resistance. The difference was what they did in the pause. So here is where the film ends, and where the real one, yours, begins. Somewhere today, that same alarm will go off. That same pair of voices will speak at once. One will offer you comfort. The other will offer you a future. The question is not whether the war will happen. It will. It happens to everyone, every day, without exception. The only question that matters is this: when the pause comes today, who do you choose to let win?